So I am the type A bestie that you did not know that you needed. And here's the thing, as we begin the year, there's going to be a lot in here, and we're going to struggle with trying to figure out how to organize it, how to make the macro of our goals align with the micro of like our everyday, right? Well, I'm here to help you make that hot mess into something that is highly organized. Here's the thing, I am somebody who has always loved a planner, right? Whether it was this guy from middle school or more task based planners that I used in high school and college. But now, as life has gotten more complicated, you get married, you have fur children, influencing, and a bunch of obligations. I've learned that in order to align the macro with the micro, I need three planners: a monthly planner, a weekly planner, and a daily planner. Let me show you them and how I organize them. So here's my 2026 monthly planner. Let me tell you why I chose a monthly planner, right? I am somebody who at one point in my life was like double, triple booking myself and my husband, right? Whether it would be for couples dates or outings or family engagements or just making sure we had time for like each other and our individual interests and hobbies. And so I politely requested, as I started doing this, that people give me at least 3 months in advance of like if they want something to go on the calendar, right? This is like really like this is dedicated time. You want me to dedicate time to something. Now, this doesn't mean that there is not spontaneity, right? Like if something comes up, of course, if we have time, we're going to do it. But if there's something that is very important, if there's something that we want to ensure our time is dedicated to, it must go in the monthly planner. And fun fact, the monthly planner is also color coordinated, and it's where I keep up with my PTO. I still have my 2025 monthly planner, so I'm going to show you in here because y'all don't need to know what I got going on this year. Okay, so let's get into it. This is what the color coordination looks like, right? I have me, my husband, my dog, couples things, days off, appointments, family things, work events, blooming babe stuff. This is how I ensure at a high level I can see what is taking place in a month. And this is how I keep track of my PTO. Nothing super fancy about it. I know what I start with, and I know when I'm going to use it, when I plan on using it, and how many hours it's going to be. Now, if you're curious to know what this looks like when it's laid out on the calendar, it looks something like this, right? And if you're curious to know what it looks like when I don't keep up with things, it starts to look like this. And some of you may have noticed that I do carry around this pencil pouch that has like the pins in here. It's so that if something comes up on the fly, I can go ahead and add it before I forget, right? I also have erasable pens. Sometimes I will pencil in things, and that means it's tentative. Sometimes I'll pencil in things with actual erasable pens. It means that like maybe the tickets have been bought, but the plans aren't solidified, something like that. I also have these pins in the back, and that's because in the same way that I keep up with things monthly and color coordinate them for my personal calendar, I do the same for my influencer calendar. And I'm going to be honest, that's probably the fanciest of actual planning that happens. The rest is literally just pen and paper. So sort of my weekly plan happens during my Sunday reset. So every Sunday I sit down, I look at the week ahead, I look at my big calendar to understand like what things I have going on. I'm a hybrid worker, so I also plan out what days I'm going into the office. I do a little bit of meal planning. Ask me to make a video on that because I feel like I'm really good at meal planning too. And then I sit and I make a plan. What goes on this plan, you may ask? 4 things, right? 4 or 5, depending on the week. I always start with 3 like affirmations or friendly reminders to myself. And then I go into a to-do list. The to-do list is based off of the 7 well-beings. Let's talk about the 7 well-beings for a second. The 7 well-being is a model that I created for the Blooming Babe back in 2018. It's 7 key areas of holistic health and wellness that include your career, education, mental, physical, social, and financial health. So when I say I start looking at my to-do list based off of the 7 well-beings, the first thing I say is there anything specifically I need to do this week in terms of career growth, in terms of educational growth, in terms of mental growth, in terms of physical growth, right? And then because I am taking this influencing thing rather seriously, I have a to-do list for the blooming babe. The third thing is items in the mail. So it's just to ensure that I understand that if I'm supposed to be receiving something, I have received it, right? I cannot begin to tell you how many times this has actually saved my butt when it comes to like things getting lost in the mail coming from a brand and me being able to say, hey, I've been tracking this. It's not here. Can we get an extension on a deadline? And then the fourth thing is looking at the bigger picture, the monthly calendar, and if there's any events happening that week, putting it on my weekly to-do list. And I can actually show you what this looks like because I wrote mine prematurely. Again, the 3 sort of reminders and or affirmations of the week, personal to-do list, the blooming babe to-do list, items in the mail, and because I don't have any events going on this week, it's not on here. And I just showed you that on my junior clipboard. That's typically where I write everything on these half-size sheets on my junior clipboard, like notes, drawings, whatever, always goes on here. But where it lives is in my actual like insert binder. The other great thing about keeping it in here is if there's like something written that goes along with like something that's happening weekly, I can like slide it in there. So again, going from the macro to the micro, I take things from my monthly planner to put it on my weekly planner. I take things from the weekly planner in terms of my to-do list and put it on my daily to-do list. I will typically write this list either early in the morning before I get my day started or at the very end of my day before I get the 5 to 9 started. And again, it's nothing fancy. It's just, I always start with the title, tonight's to-do list. And then it goes from 4 o'clock, which is when I get off of work, until about 9 o'clock. I typically always cook and eat somewhere between 6:30 and 8. And then this is where I organize what I'm doing for the rest of the night. So sometimes it's going to the gym and showering. Sometimes it might be a crafting class. Sometimes it might be an industry event or a work event. Sometimes it's just doing things like do your laundry, right? But it's a quick and easy way for me to get those weekly thoughts on a daily list so that I don't forget what I should be doing from day to day, and it helps me organize my time after work. And sometimes this little to-do list, it travels with me. The reason I do this on a Post-it note is because sometimes I will just literally post it around the house. Like if I know for that night that it's something that's heavily focused in me doing something with the kitchen, the Post-it note goes in the kitchen. Sometimes I'll finish it and just stick it on the front of my planner. And that is pretty much my system. Like I said, we go from a monthly calendar to a weekly planner to a daily to-do list. There are a few things I want us to remember. The first is like, you don't have to do everything that's on your list. It is okay for things to either become deprioritized or not a priority at all. For the most part, I keep my weekly to-do list. And if there's something that maybe did not happen that week, I just transfer it to the next week. There was one task that was simply like, take your clothes to the dry cleaners. That was on maybe like 5 weeks worth of to-do list until it got done. Another thing is to plan time to rest. I don't know if y'all saw it on my weekly planner, my weekly to-do list that literally says, add in your spa day in January. I also have to remind myself to like slow down and like do some extra self-care. It happens when you're busy and that's okay. Just plan that downtime, right? And then the last thing I want to say, buy stationery that you love, because when you love the stationery that you're using, you'll be more compelled to use it. Like I said, most of my monthly planners either come from Sugar Paper or Rifle Paper Company. And then my pens, if y'all can't tell by like the tower of stationery behind me, I love some stationery. These are Muji's. These are FriXion Waai erasable pens. And back here is something that I got, some stuff I got off of Amazon. I'll link everything in the captions to a shop my if you want to shop what I have. But again, find what works best for you. And then the last thing I want to say is that it's okay to be a little type A, right? Because life needs laying out, especially if you're somebody who is really busy. Don't put your pressure on yourself to try and remember it all. With that being said, that is how you turn a hot mess into something that is highly organized. If you like what you saw, hit that like and subscribe button so that you have more gentle planning and wellness routine content straight to your inbox. Until next time, stay organized.